Welcome to Sunday service, guys. You know how we do it here. Usually we get about 1,000 live viewers, 100,000 downloads every single month on Sunday service, but we rarely bring on a guest. And tonight we actually have a guest. You guys know why we rarely bring on a guest? Because not many guests want to come on our Sunday service show at 7:00 on Sunday night. So give Zach from RTR. He is the CEO. If you don't look at this man and just it doesn't scream CEO, then I don't know what Zach's all about. Zach Lemaster also is the definition of Lemaster like the master? Is that where that comes from? Like you're the master of short-term rental, of rentals, of turnkey stuff. What are you the master of?
Well, first of all, Pace, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I've been bugging to be on here for a long time. I love your guys' community, but I am the master of turnkey rentals, and we're doing a lot of cool stuff, especially in the build-to-rent space. We're excited to talk to your guys' community because we know that the people within your community, the sub-2, best community out there, that you guys are actually action takers. You guys are. I've never seen a community like you've built where people are doing deals with each other and actually taking action. I love it.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So yesterday, I was tagged in at least 30 Instagram stories of people all over the country running 30 different meetups last night, all sub-2 meetups from California all the way up into New England, across the whole country. We had 30 different states had a meetup last night. And it's just I'm not running them. It's the leaders. It's the people that have been in the program and people that have been in the community. They're just stand-up human beings that are just so welcoming and inviting. And what ends up happening is a lot of these leaders in these individual states end up helping all these new students and these new community members do a ton of deals. They all make a bunch of money together. Some of our students, this is the craziest thing. So like, most mentorships, they have like a duration. They go, okay, well, you buy into a mentorship and you're out after 3 months or 6 months or whatever. Our mentorship doesn't end. And so what ends up happening is people end up falling in love with each other and having babies and stuff. Like I'm not exaggerating. We legitimately have people getting married, and it's so fun to watch people's children grow up and people's businesses blow up. And the number one thing I like hearing is that people say, I don't recognize who I am from 3 months ago, 3 years ago, et cetera. It's just a completely different, life that they've had by joining the community. And yes, so many people are action takers. Look at Julie Burkhart, one of them. Julie Burkhart says, geez, I missed everyone. Julie is my partner on a 408 unit deal in Charlotte. She is also a private money lender of mine on another deal in Illinois. We got a lot of action takers in the side chat today. So I'm excited to talk about the topic. I know Cody, literally, I was at dinner 7 minutes ago. And Cody's texting me. He's like, I'm so excited about this podcast. Like he's so excited about tonight's episode. And so am I. We're going to be talking about turnkey rentals and who should be getting into turnkey rentals, why they're good, why they're bad, and everything in between. I'm curious about what's happening into the turnkey rental space because of interest rates. I'm curious about what your typical client is, what that demographic is. And before we get into that, it was really interesting. I had somebody send me a text message 2 weeks ago. And they said, Pace, I realized through going through your program, I realized more like people learn creative finance, they learn wholesale, they learn fixing and flipping and raising capital and corporate structure and all these amazing things inside of the mentorship. But what they really learn is they learn about themselves. And she says to me 2 weeks ago, I learned that I am a better support system than an entrepreneur. I'm a weekend investor, and I want to buy 4 to 6 rentals every single year. And the rest of the time I want to go support somebody else's vision. That's who I am. I'm a support role. I was like, wow, like I love the fact that you understand that about yourself, because what happens is a lot of people see like the Pace Morbys, the Carlos Reyes, the Ryan Pinedas, the Chris Crones, all these people that are out there gallivanting around with a sword and just chopping down deals all the time. And people think that that's what they have to do to be financially secure and financially set, is they have to go buy 500 rentals in a year. And they have to build a whole entire acquisition model and team and all these kind of things. And I think tonight's episode is going to kind of break the the thought process on that is what I'm thinking. So Zach, welcome to Sunday service. Thank you so much for coming here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us at 7:00. What time is it where you're at?
Well, I'm right now. I'm Arizona time too, because I'm in mountain. So I think half the year we align and half the year we don't. But
Okay,
it's
so it's
late,
not too
but
late. It's not too late. But shout out to
not
all the East
Eastern.
Coasters tonight. Who's East Coast? We've got about 600 people trickling in right now. Who's on the East Coast right now, hanging out on the East Coast? Thank you guys for doing that. It's 9:00 your time. So, Zach, give us a 2 or 3 minute backstory of like how did you get into Turnkey, and then we'll actually ask the question of what the hell is Turnkey?
Yes.
I love it. And I just want to hit on your point too, Pace, that's so important to just be honest with yourself and kind of what your value is and what type of investor that you ultimately want to be. Because quite frankly, I mean, creative finance is awesome. We love it. And especially over these next 2 years, there's going to be so much opportunity that you have to be active. But the reality is that, not everyone is super successful in being that entrepreneur and building their own portfolio. Like, if you want to invest in real estate, there's 1,000 different ways to do it, right? And as long as you're taking action consistently, that's how you be successful. But ultimately, my background has nothing to do with real estate. As many of us, initially started. I have a background in healthcare. My wife and I did that for a while. I mean, we were optometrists. I was an Air Force captain for 7 years. Practiced there. Practiced in Colorado after that. I owned multiple private practices.
Did you just say you were an optometrist?
That's correct. Yeah. So nothing to do with the real estate, but.
Isn't that so freaking interesting that you could have multiple lifetimes in one lifetime?
And let me tell you, real estate specifically has allowed us to, and all the things that we do currently in real estate has allowed us to live multiple lives, right? I mean, optometry, that's a grind. 8 years of professional school, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a professional career that we don't even use now. That's kind of a mind shift change. But that's the beautiful thing about investing in real estate. You can create lifetimes of income in a short amount of time and do a lot of these different things. We still go out and practice optometry on a volunteer basis, but we don't rely on it for income.
Bro, that is such an interesting thing because you go to 8 years. It wasn't just the 8 years of school that you did. It was the buildup of like, I'm going to go to 8 years of school was 10 years prior to that planning. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be an I'm going to do that. And then you do it for 8 years. It becomes who you are. It's your entire identity. And for you guys to break away from that is a significant reset, a significant like eject button and going, hey guys, we're going to go reinvent the entire identity. That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. And it's definitely a mind shift change, right? We all have those naysayers along the way. Like, what are you doing? Even my mother-in-law, bless her heart, was like, don't you dare quit optometry. She's an old traditional, Chinese woman that is just like healthcare all the way. But anyways, I mean, and to be clear though, we invested in real estate the entire time that we were practicing optometry. It wasn't just a transition, right? And I think this is what's important to know. Investing in real estate is a lifetime journey. And we're always here to learn more, but we invested in real estate. Even the first house I bought was a duplex, used a VA loan, lived in half, rented the other half. Anyways, fast forward to kind of where we're at today and what built this business is that we started strategically investing, not in our own backyard, but in different areas where we saw better opportunity. And that really allowed us to catapult our investing experience to the point where we were able to replace our income. And through that experience, we had a lot of friends and family and colleagues that were like, hey, that's interesting. What are you guys are doing? We want to invest in real estate as well. But we need some assistance to do that, right? We don't have the time, the energy, the know-how to do that. And so that kind of founded the turnkey aspect, which has really led us to where we're at today.
So, which I love. I love this because what happened is you saw demand, you're a business operator, and you go, man, my friends, all my homies are basically reaching out to me and going, hey, Zach, like, what the hell, man? You made a departure from your entire identity. You've reinvented yourself, which is pretty cool because of this real estate thing. They've got FOMO going on. Like the feeling of missing out was at an all-time high. And they go, we need help. How did you do this? And essentially, it sounds like you created an entire business that started by helping your family and friends that then ballooned and blew up into what you guys are currently doing today.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what keeps us going. That's the passion.
Okay, cool. So 2022, you guys essentially, your company builds turnkey rentals for passive investors. Is that correct?
That's about half of what we do, but that's a big portion of it on the building side specifically. Yes.
Okay, cool. So, how many houses did you guys build in 2022?
So we started 1,000. So, and this is mainly in 80% of those is in Florida. That's one of our best markets for
Cody, did you
multiple
just hear
reasons.
what he just said?
Yeah, I heard lots of tax write-offs for us when we run out of properties to buy next year.
Did you hear he said he started 1,000 new builds last year?
Yes.
Zach, that's insane, bro. That's a machine.
And that's us, our investors, right? That's our turnkey investors. Of course, we have our own builds going on outside of that, but that's our investors that are coming to partner with us. And what,
Right.
Cody, what you said on the tax side, though, I mean, as this is something where I think the creative finance and the turnkey area mesh really well, because if you're an active investor, and as both of you gentlemen are, and Pace, I know that you love this strategy. We've talked about this previously. I've heard you talk about your tax refund you received last year, not only zero tax, but tax refund, right? And a big part of that is actually just the amount of real estate that you purchase, right? If you're an active investor, you should probably qualify for real estate professional, and you should absolutely be buying, in my opinion, enough real estate to write off all of your active income, not only for this year, but then pass that forward year after year. And I think that sometimes, I mean, if you're not able to acquire enough of those with all the active deals that you're doing, then maybe, turnkey could be a great option for you to build out your portfolio, diversify in some of these areas, these other locations with a team that's established, and take additional tax write-offs, right? Just buy those properties simply to scale. That's the name of the game over time. In addition to that, I mean, maybe there's some short-term rental opportunities if you're not an active investor that you could still take those accelerated depreciations. But I think that's a key point.
Okay, so let's get into this for a second, because there's at least one. We've got 600 people watching right now. Live,
I'm just trying to
which is
hold
great.
back my questions just so we can get into it.
What the hell, for the people that don't know, is a turnkey rental? It sounds self-explanatory, but you're not surprised at this point. You've taught enough people that you're not surprised by stuff. But like, somebody in here is like, I don't know what turnkey is. What does that mean?
And it is a broad, ill-defined term. So yes, let's start at the ground level and talk about. And I want to talk about what we mean when we say turnkey, because it's one of those buzzwords out there. So when we talk about turnkey is a property that's been newly built or fully renovated, leased, and professionally managed by our team in a market that we've identified to be a viable investment market area that has landlord-friendly legislation, low taxes, future population, economic growth. And so it's really an easy way for someone to acquire a property in a location that they have confidence will be a successful long-term rental for the property. And so this is something that is, an easy way to scale, diversify, get started, whatever the case is. That's what we view as a turnkey property.
Love it. So who does turnkey typically benefit?
Turnkey is a great option for if you want to be a passive investor, right? If you want to be, to your point earlier about the gal that wants to be kind of the weekend investor, 5 to 6 properties a year, wants to work her W-2, something along those lines, doesn't want to, be a full-time investor. That's a great way to be passive and still be scaling your portfolio. Well, let us handle all the heavy lifting. You get all the financial benefits of real estate ownership long-term, and that is a great way to get started. And we work across multiple markets. To answer this question, in Florida, we work across 8 different markets throughout the Midwest and Southeast mainly, and we're always looking for the new markets. But people that are just getting started, it's also kind of an easy way to have an entry point where you're learning how to invest, not having to take on a lot of risk factors. Someone that wants to easily diversify across multiple different markets, or someone that wants to scale in addition to what they're already doing. We even buy Pace. Even though we do a lot of different things in real estate, we still buy turnkey. A lot of the commercial assets we buy are for tax purposes, for example, are just, they're turnkey assets that we're buying just sometimes off the MLS or maybe create a finance deal.
Love it. So real estate talks. I really like this question. I think this is I don't know exactly where this comes from. I'm going to take a guess. This is the traditional way of thinking. The question he says is, so does turnkey mean you don't have equity? Well, let's lay something out for everybody. 99% of homeowners that buy their houses through a real estate agent, through the MLS, right? Traditional way of purchasing. That's where the majority of houses are purchased. Cody, how many of those homeowners are buying houses that have equity when they're buying on the MLS?
When I worked as a real estate agent for 2 years in my early 20s, and I would say 100% of the clients I worked with didn't buy a property that had equity.
I agree with that. Every house that I've ever watched my wife sell or buy for her buyers are for homeowners that don't have equity. Equity, guys, I could hammer home on equity all day long. Equity comes and equity goes, but the cash will always flow. And if you guys look at what happened this year, right? In the beginning of the year, people had a piss ton of equity. Guess what? People's properties have dipped 20%, in some markets 30%. At the end of the day, if the property is still cash flowing, who cares about the equity? Okay. I see a lot of these like very, very safe, I'm afraid type of investors, the Dave Ramsey crowd, are like, well, I need to buy a deal at 13 cents on the dollar. Well, that's probably why you've never bought a deal before. Okay. Zach, I would imagine if I'm buying a turnkey rental from you, I'm not always buying a deal with a ton of equity, right? That's not where I'm making my money. I'm making my money in the cash flow, in the professionally managed asset that will over time bring in cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, all those types of things. Is that correct?
I'm so happy this question came up, and because this is like, what's the value, right? Who is this right for? Why am I even buying a turnkey? A lot of the creative community, they want to create their own equity, which they should, right? By actually finding those deals. So in the traditional sense, when you're buying a turnkey rental, you would not expect, that's right, because we've already done the heavy lifting, right? That's how we make our money, is doing the rehabs, things like this. When we're selling a turnkey property, is that you usually don't expect to come in with significant equity, because to your point, you're building wealth over time. You're creating additional cash flow. You're using all the benefits of leverage and depreciation tax benefits, et cetera. However, I would love to talk about some of the build to rent type of stuff where you create immediate equity and there is significant equity. We were reviewing some of the Florida deals in Cape Coral that we've done where there's investors that have 6 figures of equity position after in 12 to 18 months with the turnkey property that we've built for them, where they were able to be creative and do a cash out refinance and pull all of their money back out, so they're net zero into the deal, or to sell at a large gain, in 1031 or do something along those lines. So there are options, and that's where I love to be creative with investors and partner with them to open up some of those opportunities.
Okay, so people, we're 18 minutes into this. I want to make sure people have a way to connect with you. How can people connect with you? Is there a website? Is there something? Cody, did Carly give us a website?
Yeah, it's
start with RTR, I think. Okay, startwithrtr.com. If you guys want to go in as you're listening to Zach right now and you're listening to Q&A, we'll pull up some Q&A. We'll do some Q&A as well in the side chat also, okay? Cody, I also know he has a bunch of questions as well. I think turnkey is amazing for a lot of people, right? So I have a student a couple of years ago. She was beating herself up about the fact that she's like, I don't have time to build a whole acquisition team. I don't have time to go out and negotiate with sellers. I don't have time to negotiate with agents. I don't have time to do these things. I'm really busy with all the things I have going on. And I go, well, you could be a turnkey investor. You could just buy deals that other people package up and get their tenants in there. And basically you pay for that up front. But essentially the way you do your financing can get you into multiple of these deals all year long, that you don't have to really worry about that. And you don't have to be a full-time person. And the management is already set up, so you don't have to sit there and have and deal with the tenants and all of that kind of stuff. So I would imagine the majority of your clients are those types of people that are saying, I want to be 95% hands-off on owning my real estate. Is that correct?
I would say absolutely. I mean, that's who we cater to. A lot of times these are individuals that are working, they have great income. They want to still invest in real estate or diversify, especially when we have stock market and thing taking a dump like it is now. But I mean, they still want to invest in real estate, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. They need a professional team that's going to assist them in managing and doing all of those things. But I'll also say, I love to see the newer investor, because I mean, we're all aware of the analysis paralysis. If you're sitting on the sidelines, you're not doing anything. You looked at you have the shiny object syndrome. You look at 1,000 different things, which is it, like, we're all guilty of that from time to time. I get it. You have to stay laser focused and just do something and see what that develops into. Turnkey is also, I think, a very good option to, just buy a rental. So many times we've had people that are like, oh, I'm just going to, because they haven't done anything. They went to seminars, whatever the case is, and they buy 2 or 3 rental properties. That gives them the mindset and the confidence to get started. and then they go out and do their own thing, right? And maybe they come back years later and continue to buy with us, or we hear about them later and they've like scaled just dramatically. But it's helped them take the first stepping stone. I think that's really crucial in a lot of cases.
Okay, so couple of quick fire questions. Sean Baxter says, are your turnkey properties cash flowing when they are purchased?
Yes, we want to be at an 8 to 12% cash on cash return if you're using traditional financing, or there's other potential financing methods to use. 100%. We have a baseline criteria. We want to invest in areas that are obviously positive cash flow, because that's what we know our investors as well as us we're looking for.
Okay, I think I know the answer to this one. Can you start turnkey with no money down? I'm going to say the answer is no, but there is a way that once you're done, you've got it stabilized, that you can refinance and get all your money out, essentially, right?
100%. Yeah, typically you would need money for a down payment. That doesn't mean it needs to be your money, right? This is where you can be creative within a community and partner with people, or on the back end pace, to your point. Yeah, you can do cash out refi and keep recycling that money. Once you pull it out, and not have to commit any additional capital, that's a way to just keep continually growing your portfolio.
Okay, cool. And what stage, this will lead into my personal question, in what stage does somebody like me, I want to buy a turnkey rental from you, what stage do I get involved in the process? Is it well before you find the land, or do you guys already have things that are turning and burning that I could jump into that already have momentum towards a final build?
The answer could be all the above. Traditionally, when people are buying turnkey, I mean, our company is a little bit different because we have our hands in a lot of different things. We are doing, and for the record, we have single family, small and large multifamily, commercial. We have new build and development projects. So, I mean, we have a large diversity of asset classes that we can participate on, from the ground up construction or after it's completed. Typically, when you think about buying a turnkey property, it's a property that's already been built or renovated. It's got a tenant. It's ready to cash flow from day one when you buy it. Buy it and forget about it. But there are some ways, like we were talking about with the new construction, where you can partner with this and participate in the beginning to take out the ground up construction and also learn that process. I think is a great aspect of that. Learn it throughout the process, but you can build in that equity. So if you're patient, and there are creative ways to get in early with us.
Okay, so Vlad K, I want to clear this up for you, my friend. Accredited investors, okay? Accredited investors. Why is that important? It's incredibly off base, and that's not a criticism. I'm just letting you know that accredited investors really have nothing to do with this, unless I came and I created a fund, or I created a group of investors called a fund, and I went out to the open public and I said, hey guys, I want to gather all of our money together into a fund, and I want to go and buy a ton of properties through Zach's company, start with RTR.com. I'm going to make a fund. Yes, at that point, in order for you to invest in my fund and be a partner in my fund, depending on the type of fund, a Reg D, right? There's two types of Reg Ds, right? 506B, 506C. Depending on which one, some of them only allow accredited investors. Okay. But if we're talking about an individual buying a property, you don't have to be accredited. Okay. You could be a small time investor just starting out. You do not have to be accredited to buy a property. The only time you ever have to be accredited is if you are investing in somebody else's fund that requires you to be accredited. Okay. Hopefully that clears that up. Okay. So the answer would be no, unless somebody like me comes along, right? That you guys all know about all the sub 2 students are going to be partners with me on some big multifamily in 2023. That fund is a Reg CF fund, a regulation crowd fund, which allows me to raise $5 million of non-accredited investor funds and take as little as $1,000 each. Okay, so your minimum investment, no credit check. You don't have to be accredited. I don't even need to have met you before, and you can invest as small as $1,000 into one of my funds. Those types of funds also don't require you to be accredited. Okay, so you just have to know whoever's fund. Again, you're not in a fund when you're doing an accredited investment. That means you're giving somebody else your money into a fund, and they will then take that money and invest that money on your behalf because you are trusting them with that money to pull it into a fund. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. Now, the question I have, okay, because I've never bought a turnkey property. Every single property we own is found by us or found by somebody in our world. 99% of everything we've bought is sub-2 and seller finance. Okay. So like our audience goes, wait, like I know how easy sub-2 and seller finance is. I don't need a credit check. I don't need all this stuff. How easy is it for somebody like me who I have unverified? I mean, I have income, but like this year I will show $0 on my tax returns. Can I still get a turnkey property, or do I need to go get a W-2?
There's plenty of different ways to finance or purchase any property, whether it's turnkey or not. And I think this is actually where your community and your army pace. That's why you guys are out there taking over in the sub-2 space or the creative finance space, is because your investors are being creative in the different ways that they can acquire real estate. I would say turnkey or otherwise, just to look at the different ways that you can acquire a property. Generally speaking, most people are putting 10 to 20% down using traditional financing, or 25 if it's a single family. And so in that case, if you're talking about traditional financing, yeah, I mean you need your 2 years tax return of having self-employment or a W-2, but there's plenty of non-QM lenders out there, right? I mean, there's plenty of
non-QM guys. Non-QM means qualifying mortgage. Non-QM, it means they don't care about you as the individual. They care about the deal, the asset, the house. All right. There's lots of non-QM lenders out there. All right. Like My Investor Loan is one of them, myinvestorloan.com. Tanya Turner is another really great one. You guys have a lending institution, I'm sure, that you work with hand in hand for clients that are like me, that are basically non-W-2able and horrible on my tax returns. It shows that I have a net loss this year. So I'm not going to be bankable if I walk into Bank of America or Chase, but I could go to a non-QM loan that you guys can connect me with, and I can go get one of these deals, right?
100%. Yeah. And just to further that point on the taxes, like, and I'm right there with you. I love that, the way that you're building your business and continuing to expand your portfolio without having to give it all away to Uncle Sam, because I think that's the goal for everyone. But I mean, this is the last year in 2022 where we have 100% bonus depreciation, right? So think about this. If you're in a pinch to buy a property, even though you're out there and you've done a lot on the creative finance side, like if you just need to buy a property for a tax purpose, I mean, and you have 2 weeks to do it before the end of the year because you do have to own it in 2022, then maybe that's something where a turnkey would.
Do you have something available that I could buy right now?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
We have 50 to 60 properties available at any given point in time that are ready.
Cody, you want to buy one before the end of the year?
Yeah, I like these duplexes that you have, but I don't know if those are ready to buy. And you said that there's other ones that might be available that aren't on your site, so we might be missing those. Where are them pocket listings at? Where are them pocket deals?
Why are you hiding stuff from us, Zach? Come on.
No, we're hiding it from the general public, but we like the sub-2 community so much that I mean, if you just mention that you're from the community with Pace or Cody or sub-2 community. I've specifically
not Cody Sperber though. They won't give you if you mention anything about Cody Sperber.
Absolutely.
Shout out Cody Sperber, by the way.
The better Cody. And so that's who we want to know about. But for your community, I've already instructed my team, like, look, these guys are action takers. They're out there, making deals happen. These guys are serious, right? Like that's very obvious. And everyone knows that about everyone that's part of your community. But we have a separate list that we've actually held properties not available to the general public. In addition to that, we're going to be providing $1,000 closing cost credit to anyone from your community. So if you're from $1,000 closing cost
Cody,
credit,
let's buy one right now.
I'm down. Yeah, let's do it.
Why are you dragging your feet, bro? Let's freaking what do we got to have a partnership meeting about this? What's up?
Get that cost study.
Here's my my question, Zach. So as
Cody, stop overthinking everything. Let's just do this, bro. What are you trying to ask questions for?
I'm not overthinking. I'm thinking on buying a lot of them. But my question, because on a few, that's gonna be fine. But on a lot of them, My thing is, Zach, I would love to buy a lot more properties turnkey because we can't always source the right type of deals that I like to buy. And I think the turnkey model is really interesting. Here's where my biggest hang up has been to date and why I haven't bought properties out of the state of Arizona and Pace has is the problems are going to come to me and I have to deal with the problems of those properties that have those issues like property management. Oh, we don't have a handyman there. Oh, is the property management company that you have, is it the same one within all of these states? Is it different partner vendors that you partner with to manage these properties in these markets? How is Cody not going to have to deal with a problem property because the vendor that's managing the property decides they don't want to manage it anymore? And now Cody has to figure out in this town in Florida that I've never heard of and been to, now I need to find someone there that can go take care of all of my problems. So I can't, so I could sleep good at night. That's my thing.
And dude, I've totally been there. And it's taken 15 years to get a efficient system in place. And there is that always to some degree. I mean, it can be like herding cats when you have a bunch of different rentals in a bunch of different areas, but it's all about having the right system in place. So to be very specific though, these are local property management teams that we've sourced and vetted, and scaled to adhere to our standards of not only how management needs to be done, but very fundamentally, like how do you screen tenants? Okay, do they need to make 3 times monthly rent? Are you accepting anyone that has a bankruptcy or certain things like this? So there's a lot of different things, and we're calling multiple previous landlords, not just the current one that may want to get rid of them, things like this. So the point is that all the managerial teams are following the same system. And they should be, even if you have a few properties in Florida and Texas and Missouri or whatever the case is, they're all following the same process. So it's very efficient in terms of how they're managing. It still can create noise though. Like your managers are still reporting to you.
For sure.
We're also acting as that filter though too, right? I mean, the idea here, most people, they want the mailbox money where they own the property and forget about it. But you still need to sometimes check in with the manager.
I understand the realities of real estate, and there's no such thing as really mailbox money. The money comes in, but like even with the properties we have in Arizona, we have a property manager that manages all of them. And then we have an asset manager that then is like the one that handles the initial problems. And then the only really annoying problems then get to my attention. And I'm okay with that because that's like, it's part of the business and it is an investment and they have to be managed, and that's fine. It's just that's where I wanted to ask, that was like how that team looked, so that at least there's a filtering mechanism that's happening on that ground level. My second question is around the actual like repairs, because like this is a thing that I've seen, I've heard stories from other companies. I've actually, heard where people they go turnkey and then they're in a situation where it's like they have to fix something at the property and a repair that should be $200 gets marked up so much that they're paying $1,000 for a $200 repair. But since they don't have the resources to help resolve that, they're just stuck with what they got. So that's my second question.
Yeah, and I would say apply that to owning property out of state in general, right? Whether it's turnkey or not. Like if you're an out of state owner, how do you have accountability for your local managerial teams to know that they're not gouging you on the repairs? And so the same sort of thing. We have the standard. We want people to cash flow excellent. Our average investor is buying 15 to 20 properties over the course of multiple years. They're here to build a portfolio, and they're only going to come back and confidently do that if they're having a good experience. Now, that's not to say issues never come up. I mean, that's part of real estate, right?
Real estate, there's always going to be issues. It's how are those issues managed and how much of that do I have to manage? That's the question always, right?
100%.
You don't have to manage anything. I take care of everything. Hey, Ingrid, hi.
Hi.
Zach, welcome Ingrid to the show. She had a question. She's a mastermind student. She's also a big leader of ours. And so she's one of the few people I would give her the link to come in here.
Ingrid, thank you for participating. Welcome.
Hi, Zach. Hi, thank you. One point of clarity that I was seeing in the chats, by the way, just to throw out, turnkey in what you're saying is different than the turnkey and what we're seeing in some of the markets where I'm literally buying sub 2, one of my biggest sub 2 to buy and own here in Gilbert, Arizona. And the house is in immaculate condition. I'm sure Cody's mad at me that I didn't sell it to him because I know
I'm mad. I'm sitting here. You tag me on Instagram, and I'm like,
She only
how
wants
dare
to
she?
send us 55 plus deals, only deals that smell like mothballs. Those are the ones she sends to us.
The freak, Ingrid. Cherry
Hey,
picking.
Hayels only sends me mobile homes, so I'm just getting you back through, or getting her back through you.
So, Ingrid, you had a question about bonus depreciation.
Yeah. So I've heard this twice now about what we're allowed to do in terms of depreciation. I've heard step down or something is happening in the next few years, like 10% or something like that is happening.
20%. Yeah. So they're going from, let's say, for example, I go buy a plane. Okay.
Mhm.
If you go buy a plane for $5 million, you can get a $5 million tax deduction this year, 100% accelerated depreciation in your first year.
Yeah.
Going forward, it's going to be 80%. Okay. It doesn't mean you can't get the other 20%. It just means you can't get the other 20% in this year, right? So you'll get 80% of it this year. Does that make sense?
And then does it step down beyond that?
Yeah.
Ingrid, let me step in and kind of apply it to like a typical real estate transaction, for example. So let's say you buy a house, turnkey or otherwise, you just buy a house. Like one of your creative finance deals, if you own it, like seller finance sub 2, you own it. You should also you could accelerate depreciate those. But just for simplistic purposes, let's say you buy $100,000 house. What you do is you get a cost segregation study done. And what this does is takes all of the items in the house that are not going to last 27 and a half years, your normal depreciation, and allows you to take the bonus part of it in year one. Typically what we're seeing is anywhere between 20 to somewhere is up as high as 50%. I kind of like to use, for simple math, like a 30% range. So if you buy a $100,000 house, you can kind of back of the napkin say, and that you take out land out of that. But we'll just use a $100,000 house. We'll say roughly $30,000 or 30% is what you can take in year one. So if you had a $30,000 gain from a flip or something like this, or even just income from any source, if you're a real estate professional, that's 100% write-off. You're taking that in year one. You still get the rest of your 70% depreciation over the course of the next 27 and a half years. And then, depreciation is still recapturable. And so maybe in that scenario, when you sell it, you 1031 or something like this. I don't know if I gave you too much.
She's heard me talk about depreciation 17,000 hours. So she must have a specific question.
Well, because by the end of this year, I will have potentially bought 2 properties for the sole purpose of keeping them and renting them out. Long term. The other ones I have don't have that longer term. So I wasn't sure. I should talk to my CPA, but I wasn't sure about depreciation because of the recapture issue. But like
Ingrid, you don't need to worry about the recapture if 2 things happen. Tell me one of them. What's one thing that you can do to not worry about the recapture?
1031. Yeah.
1031, right? Especially somebody like you're not going to retire right now, right? You're not going to sit here and go, I want to sell this property and take all my cash out. You're not ready for that. So you're going to 1031 for the next probably 20 years, right? Where your big chunks of cash will come from is when you go and refinance, right? As interest rates go down, your equity goes up. You'll go, man, there's $400,000 on this $1 million Gilbert house that I should have sold to Pace, right? And you'll pull that 400 grand out. And that, as you already know, is not taxable because it's not income. It's actually incurring another debt. Another way you can do this is through trust structure, right? So you can set up trust structure properly. Dustin, my CPA, is coming in tomorrow to our private sub 2 community to specifically talk about this because it's kind of the end of the year. But like what Zach is talking about with the cost segregation. Here's what's cool about Dustin. I bought this property in Atlanta like 3 years ago. It was 1.1 million, single family home, 1.1 million. Bought it seller finance. I bought it from one of our other students. Do you know the deal? I've talked about it.
Maurice.
Okay. Bought it from Maurice. I did a cost seg study on that one property. And then Dustin went and used that same cost seg study on over 20 properties. And the average was 40% was my tax benefit because of that one property. So if you have a really good CPA that's creative and understands the laws like Dustin does, that one property that you just bought for $1 million sub 2, you can do a cost seg study on that. The company we use is costsegalauthority.com. Okay. I like it when Ingrid says, that means that we taught her something. I'm always at this point in the game, I'm trying to find one thing that I can teach Ingrid every once in a while. Okay. So, costsegalauthority.com, that's who we use. Then they do a cost seg on your $1 million property. Could be between $1,500 and $3,000. Okay. They're going to do a full-on report. That report ends up going to the IRS. Your CPA, if they're smart, will be able to use that same cost seg study for multiple properties in that year.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't know that. In fact, there's CPAs that go, wait, what? That's not possible. I go, no, instead of saying that's not possible, just say, I'm not experienced enough to know that. Thank you for teaching me that, Pace. That would be a better. So if your CPA doesn't know that, just say you're a knucklehead. Go talk to Dustin and have Dustin tell him.
I appreciate it. I know that this house has like a pool, a spa, like a barbecue area, like 3 new air conditioners. Like it has.
What are you going to do with it?
So
sounds like a house that Cody should be living in that you should have sold him.
We plan on renting it out by room, and I'm doing this cool concept with Marlon because Marlon needs a place to stay, but we've been talking about helping other people level up their businesses, their mind, their
like a mastermind house.
Yeah, it's a mastermind house.
Yeah. I did that in my early 20s. It's the best.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, then we should talk to you about it. So while
it's not the crazy strategy, it's just you charge them a little bit more than normal rent because it's like, yo, you got to be around us, so that's what you're paying, and then that's what it is, and it actually worked out. I mean, I was super happy with how it worked out. I house hacked my first 5 years of my 20s doing that with just other entrepreneurs.
And we want to have like more intimate or private mindset events like once a quarter, to also kind of, have a place where everyone feels comfortable about Pace's house is amazing, but we can't borrow that all the time. So just seeing about, what can we do on our own and have those types of places. It's so beautiful, Pace. I can't wait to
stop rubbing it in, dude. You already didn't sell the deal to us.
But so Christine from California was teaching me a little bit about cost seg, and the more features your house has, the more it helps your cost segregation.
Yeah, because the more broken shit you'll have.
Yeah. Right.
And to hit on Pace's point, though, that was about the CPA applying that to multiple deals. That's huge because that also means you're saving money, not having to pay for a full-on study multiple times. And that just shows having an experienced CPA is huge. I think also I just want to mention on the timing, though. I don't know if I fully answered your question previously, Ingrid. This year's is 100% bonus. Next year, 80, 60, 40, 20. But it does pass forward. So like if you're in Pace's example, and he's probably got a negative the balance that the IRS he's reporting every year. And so that actually passes forward to next year. So that's why it's important for this year and really next year when it's at 180%, like let's take as much of this as we can to pay it forward in future years.
Yeah. So like that property I just bought in Springfield, the $20 million, 265 unit, I only needed like 8 million of that purchase to be utilized. And so when we do a cost study on that, I'll have this massive thing and I'll carry that loss forward into next year, which will be great. So I'll probably not have to, technically, I won't have to buy another property for tax purposes probably until April or so. So my first 4 months essentially of all my active income or all my income from all my businesses will essentially be offset from that purchase carrying forward. And it not only knocked out I thought I was gonna have to buy a stupid plane. I didn't want to buy a plane. I want to buy another Prius. I'm excited about the 2023 Prius. I was like looking to buy this $23,000 car. And then the CPA is like, you know what, if you can't buy another big property, you might have to go buy a jet. I'm like, anyway. So not only did it wipe all that out, but it wiped out the first 4 years or next 4 months of the beginning of the year. So your big $1 million property you just bought sub 2, that's going to be a tasty depreciation situation. And so tomorrow I actually have Dustin coming into the mentorship. So come in, it's at 1:00 Arizona time. You can watch the replay if you're busy, but he's going to come in and talk about that stuff tomorrow.
Got it. Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. And Pace, I'm just waiting to also, like, I just moved my 401k into that 401k trust called an EQRP. Waiting to invest with Pace for your multifamily.
I know. Dude, you know that the Reg CF is so freaking challenging. It's a whole thing. It's a whole freaking thing. We ended up like, you know, that whole big 500 bundle of apartment units that we were going to buy with like Pace's Ridge and all that kind of stuff.
That's the one I want.
I know, I do too. I had to break the whole situation up. I had to go close 192 of them with only accredited investors. And then I had to put the Pace's Ridge on hold, and we had to extend escrow because I'm still trying to get the Reg CF all the way done. You are an accredited investor though.
Technically I am. Yes, I have figured that out.
I mean, you just say yes. You don't have to say technically yes. You just say, yes, I'm a badass accredited investor.
Yeah,
Ingrid, you're the best.
I feel like I'm living on the edge on that. And
Cody was at my house the other day. Okay. And I opened up my bank account. Cody, did I have money in my bank account?
Not really.
I had a negative $3,000 balance in my bank account. So, and I am an accredited investor. So we're always living on the edge. I overfunded. We overfunded like 3 days beforehand. And then Tony she's like, before she went to the Dominican Republic, she set up some auto payments. And I was like, I overspent out of one account. She set up auto payments while she was gone. It was my fault, not hers. And I went upside down in my bank account. But I'm like, this is what accredited investors look like, is that we constantly are deploying capital into more deals. Boom, 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 boom. So you're doing the right thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I mean, you can be an investor and take 10% equity on this $1 million house if you'd like.
Text me about it. I'll talk to you about it. I'd love to.
All right, cool. All right.
You're the best.
Congrats, Ingrid.
All right. See you, Ingrid.
Anyway, she had a great question, so I thought I'd bring her up here, and she's such an amazing, sweet, awesome leader. So back to the question. Cody's trying to fight me on asking
I got more questions. I'm like,
so I go to startwithrtr.com. I go in there. Is there like a series of like a list of houses I can pick from and choose from? And there's like down payments already out there, or what?
Well, the first thing we want to do is, we want to connect with you. I have a great team of investment strategists who are going to actually take the time out of their day to learn about your investing, right? That's what we want to do. Everyone is in a different position, has different goals, timelines, resources, strategies. So we want to spend the time to learn about that and then make sure that we answer all of your questions and also look at all the investment opportunities.
Okay, so Cody, that would be definitely a Cody thing that would happen, not me. I would not be getting on the phone. So startwithrtr.com. Cody goes and books a call. Is that what happens on that website?
Yep, we schedule you with one of our investment strategists. Once we know that you're from your community, the sub-2 community, we're happy to show you the additional deals that we pulled away from the general public. But after that, yeah, it's a matter of looking at inventory and financing options or purchase options.
Cody, what do you want to buy? You want to buy a duplex? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I like I was looking at some of the ones you had for sale just on your website, that spreadsheet you had, like those duplex. I love all the new build stuff. Obviously, I'm assuming you wouldn't have anything that's finishing construction that we could buy and close on before the year is over. That's like a duplex. Or maybe I'm wrong.
We do. No, we have a lot of new construction that's completed. It's just, if you're trying to come into a significant immediate equity, some of these things, guys, there's still meat on the bones here where things are still $20,000-$30,000 of equity. Like, we don't worry about equity, bro. We let our tenants pay down
with the interest rates. Like, that's my biggest thing is, like, as long as it's going to be able to cash flow well, like, most of the stuff that Pace and I are buying, we're looking at it over 10 plus years anyways, unless it strategically makes sense to 1031 it at some point in that time frame. It just, we just want to make sure it's cash flowing during that time, get the tax benefits, and that's really it. So
yeah.
Zach, what about, so Julie, one of my mastermind students, investor, partner, she's amazing. This lady, I don't know why this is so cool to me, but this lady owns a freaking river. Okay. Like this lady's dope. Probably one of the best dressed women I've ever met in my life as well. Julie's freaking amazing. So she's saying there's no multifamily on the site. Do you guys have available multifamily or stuff coming up? What if, hypothetically, I've got a Reg CF right now has $5 million of my students' capital in it, and I have $5 million in a fund right now to deploy. Could I go and buy a 25 million or 15 million or whatever piece of multifamily from you guys? You guys have anything available?
I mean, so those are two separate type of transactions. We do work with accredited investors and funds to some degree to take down big deals. Generally, I mean, that's on a case by case basis, right? We do have multifamily consistently. Even right now, there are some multifamily on the site. You're probably talking about 2 to 4 units. Also, though, we do not throw out if there's, we consistently operate in that small to mid-size multifamily. We're not just going to showcase an 8 or 12 unit because we get so many questions from newer investors that would never be able to buy those anyways. But the short answer is yes, we have those. Please reach out, schedule a time, let my team know that you're interested in those. Be happy to present them to you.
Cody, are you going to do this call? Because I won't be doing this call.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, no, I think I mean, so here's I'll give what my thoughts are too, is like when I look at like some of these new build areas, I'm like, it would be great to find, if you have like a whole community of like lots that you're building on, it's like, hey, can we just swipe 10 duplexes in the same community and just, be able to get a chunk of them at a time? Like, 'cause I don't know if that's something you guys normally do as well. And I have a follow-up question to that, but I'll hold that.
Yeah, I mean, we're not doing any full-on community development. Would it be possible to take down 10 to 20 lots that are adjacent or contiguous? Yeah, it would. And so you could absolutely do something along those lines. And I have some case studies and, numbers we can run through if time allows, if you'd like to. So,
Cody,
yeah, for sure. Yes.
I want to make sure I get your questions answered because I want to talk to Zach about something else that other people probably don't know Zach does.
Yep.
In order for Zach to build this stuff, Zach has to buy land. You know what I'm saying? Like Zach's doing deals. Yep. He has a buy box. People can sell stuff to him and Scott. Scott is on your team, right, Zach?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to get to that. We only have 30 minutes. So what is your Cody brain telling us that we need to know right now?
I mean, I'm just asking questions that I think everyone should be asking themselves as well. Like on the last one was a selfish one for sure, because I'm just curious. But on the markets that you're choosing to invest in, like how are you encouraging people which market to invest in? Because you're in 8 different markets, and say I'm just a new investor. Like, how do I choose what makes sense? Because in some of these they're similar down payments, right? Obviously, like Ohio is like some of the lower down payment amounts that you need, but some of these markets generally 50, 60, 70, 80 grand. Like, how does someone make a decision on what makes sense to invest in? Since it's turnkey anyways, like how do you make sense of that?
No, that's a great question because we get asked all the time, right? And it's like, where do I start? Or which market? Well, the markets do vary a little bit based on price point. So we want to make sure it matches the criteria of the investor, their price points and whatnot. But also, I do encourage people, or our philosophy is you should be diversified across a few different markets. I mean, that kind of speaks to your point earlier about, not wanting to you need to have good managerial systems in place to not make this chaotic and distract from other things, which we do. But I think there is a value to be diversified across a few different markets, following the same process. So it may not matter if, say, you're starting in Ohio or Missouri or Indiana, because they're very similar, unless there's something in particular that appeals to you. But say you want duplex new construction in an area that has strong rental demand and year after year appreciation for the past 15 years, maybe, I mean, those sort of markets are going to be important for someone that doesn't want to invest in the Midwest, where they don't have that potential for large appreciation. So we try to make it an individualistic type of approach.
So how much time, let's say that I'm somebody in the side chat, we got 700 people watching right now live, and we'll end up having 100,000 people download this over the next 30 days. What amount of time does your team give somebody that books a call? Let's say they go to startwithrtr.com. They look at something, they see a duplex, kind of like Cody. He's all excited about some duplex, some new build duplex. He's all pumped about it. So he books a call with you guys. Is this a 15-minute phone call? Is this a 30-minute phone call? How much time do we usually get?
There's 30 minutes for the initial consultation and as much time as they need beyond that. Communication is extremely important when you're investing out of state, and you have a lot of questions, right? So we'll spend as much time. You have a dedicated investment strategist that you're working with. You also have access to myself once you start investing. But we have a whole team here to support you that will give you as much time as you need. If you're taking action, right? Like we want to work with people that are serious and take action. And that's why I'm so excited to talk to your community, because I truly believe there's no one else out there that's doing as many deals collectively and as a whole, and that's as engaged at your guys' community pace. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I do agree with that. It's astonishing is a good word for that. That is for sure.
It's impressive. I mean, it's
And
just
what's cool is like Ingrid, right? Like we have more people doing deals in our side chat than other people do in their live community. Like legitimately, this is what you have right now is you have probably 400 sub 2 students in the side chat. If you're a sub 2 student, shout out sub 2 and tell everybody where you're at, by the way. And then if you're not a sub 2 student, say no in the side chat, right? So we have a good blend. This is on YouTube. But the sub 2 students are insane. Like the greatest action takers of all time. So they jump in. Here's what I would be doing too. Like depending on who I am. I saw a couple of comments in the side chat about size, like down payment size. Guys, get creative. All right. Get creative. Stop for a moment and say, if I had to figure out how to get my hands on a turnkey property with no money out of my pocket, how would I do that? Right? There's literally 700 people in here live. You mean to tell me, especially the sub 2 students, I'd be looking at the sub 2 students and going, because our average sub 2 student, we've taken a survey, the average sub 2 student has $72,000. That's the average sub 2 student, $72,000 in money to deploy into deals. Okay. Deployable cash, $72,000 is the average. Some of them have 2 million, right? Some of them have more. Some of them have $2,000, right? But the blend is $72,000. So yeah, there's a lot of people that could come in and go, hey, let's team up. Let's get 3 or 4 of us together and go buy 2 or 3 of these things. Let's create a partnership, right? If I was sitting there saying, I want to be more of a passive investor, I would probably look at that. I would look at how do I find 2 people, 3 people. My securities attorney has always said you can always partner up to 5 people without going and getting a fund, because 5 people could legitimately say they all have kind of individual roles and responsibilities in that partnership that, thwart it from being an actual security. 5 people get together, you put $300,000 together, you guys could go freaking rain some damage. You guys could go get a whole bunch of these properties, which would be cool. So just a suggestion for people in the side chat, like Nisha saying yes, right? Jake says yes, I'm down, right? Myron says, bro, you're changing my family's life. Appreciate you. I wonder if Myron's talking to me. He did send me a text today, but I don't know. Who knows? But that's really what if I was in the side chat and I'm worried about down payments, that's the way I would look at it, is to say, how do 2 or 3 of us get together and go buy one of these deals, right? So do you ever have partnerships, people coming in as like 2 or 3 people coming in and buying some of these properties together?
All the time. And that's the best way to do it. I mean, right? If you can't take it down on your own, or just to even be creative to do more, partnerships are huge. Absolutely.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. This is okay, Myron. Myron, when you say I'm talking about you, Pace, and Jabs too, that means you weren't talking about me. You were talking about Jabs. I love Jabs too. I don't need all the credit. Jabs is dope. Okay, cool. This is cool. Jammer 5. That's so weird. I don't know where your mom came up with that name, Jammer 5, but tell your mom shout out. It's a good name. Pace, I never find people who have even $30,000, let alone $72,000. If you and I had a conversation and you sat next to me and you heard the conversations and the way I talk to people and I find out how much money they have, it would be a completely different conversation. Completely different conversation.
Can I jump in on this too?
Yes, please.
When you were doing deals and you're actively out there making things happen and you're talking about what you're doing and sharing what you're doing, it's astonishing how many people have money that is just sitting there in the bank and they don't know what to do with it. And quite frankly, they don't want to figure out what to do with it. Right. And so if you're just actively doing deals and talking about that, friends, family, colleagues, there's a lot of capital out there that you can partner with people on.
That was one of my things when I was just learning how to raise private capital. I thought nobody had money because I didn't have money. And I would put my brain in everybody else's head. I was just like, well, man, how am I going to raise money? Nobody has money. Like nobody has 100,000 laying around. And then you get older and you start doing deals and you start realizing, holy moly, the majority of the people that you are around on a daily basis have 20 grand, 30 grand, 50 grand, 200 grand, 500. Then you run into people that have millions of dollars that you wouldn't even know. Millions of dollars. I was teaching a class 2 years ago. For another investor. He calls me up and goes, hey, can you come teach a class in my office? I go, yeah, no problem. And there was a group of like 30 people, and I just asked a series of I asked different questions than most people do now, right? But when I was first started, I didn't even know to ask some of these questions. But I would ask people, what's your biggest problem? Why aren't you investing? And I would really kind of stick the forks to them a little bit. And this guy I'm talking to after the class is all done, I go, what's your biggest problem? Why aren't you investing more? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, well, I don't know what to do with my money. Well, how much money do you have? He's like, I have $3.5 million. And I'm like, and you're not investing? He's like, no, I don't. Nobody, like, I don't have time to look for deals. I'm a contractor. I'm so busy all day long. I don't know where to put my money. And I'm like, this is so crazy to me. There's a group of 30 people that I just taught about raising private capital. And that was literally the class I was teaching, how to raise private capital for this other guy. 29 people had no idea that one of the guys in that room had $3.5 million in cash. Guys, it's all around you. You're not asking the right question. Sometimes you're just starting, and so you're not exuding confidence. So the smart thing for you guys to do is get around people that have some confidence and partner with them in JV and get around the energy of activity, and investors start falling from the bushes. It's crazy what happens. While we have you, because Cody, you're setting a call. You're going to get a call with these guys, right?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah,
do we have enough time, like, to buy a property before the end of the year, like, legitimately?
Do you guys?
Yeah, Zach.
We can close tomorrow if you want. Banks are open. Let's go.
Yeah, perfect. What market? I mean, I will save that for the call. What other questions do you want to ask, Pace? I
like that. I like that question. I know Zach will give Zach's team will give other people individual advice, but what does Zach get excited? What market does Zach personally get excited about?
When it comes to cash flow, let's talk cash flow. Like, excusing appreciation states specifically where that's the driving strategy. The cash flow markets that get you excited for the upcoming years.
I like the markets where you get both. You have a little bit of, your cake and eat it too, where you get cash flow, and you also have strong rental appreciation. So that cash flow dramatically increases year after year. Some markets we saw, like Cape Coral, Florida, 22% rental increase from last year. That's a 22% increase in just rents. I mean, that's the ROI on that is like triple digit at that point from buying it a year ago. But I like markets where you have strong cash flow, and a good shot at appreciation. And areas where you can be creative on the back end too, where you potentially have long-term and short-term exit strategies. I just keep talking about Florida because that is where we are the most active. We work in the Pensacola, so Panhandle area, mid Florida, so like Ocala and Point Siena. That's right in between Tampa and Orlando, and then Southwest Florida is an area that we're super bullish on right now. And then some other areas we like are like outside of Houston, some other areas that we build in, where we also see strong appreciation. But I mean, those markets are just extremely strong right now and continually growing, even with everything that's going on right now, economically and with interest rates. Like, they're not slowing down. People are moving there, and it's not stopping. So I like those areas.
I do too. The people are always talking to me about Ohio and Iowa. I'm still to this day not sure if those are two different states. Is Iowa the capital of Ohio? I'm just joking, guys. For people, I'm just joking. But for me,
someone's gonna be like, what?
I don't get excited about a market that's not appreciating, right? Just because I can get into it super cheap and the cash flow is decent, I don't get excited about a market that doesn't also have the upside of really big appreciation. People are moving heavy to Florida. People are moving heavy to Texas. Like, you guys see the migration patterns. They're heavy moving over to these areas, and the panhandle of Florida is incredibly affordable still. So you kind of get this amazing, perfect blend of both worlds of like Ohio, Iowa, like not that low of prices, but still affordable, good growth, which means great appreciation. So you get that freaking perfect balance. So Cody, the ones that you said you liked, the ones that are like the duplex, the QD duplexes that you liked, where does Zach's website say where they're located?
I mean, the ones on there, which it sounds like there's other ones that aren't listed on there, but these are to be built. It looks like there's one.
Those are the Lehigh Acres.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We need
Yes.
to, let's get, dude, here's what I want to do. It's the same thing we did with like Prime Corp. Do you know Steve Harward from Prime Corporate?
We sure do, and we use him quite a bit. I mean, he's the best
freaking
out
the
there.
best, dude.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So I promoted this LLC company a couple of years ago, like 2.5 years ago, and I didn't promote them to make money. There was no affiliate, but I had 400 students go over to this company. I'm not going to say it outward. My students know who it is. And this is about 2.5 years ago. And the experience was so bad. And I promise, I was a new coach. I didn't know, right? This company came in, they were like, hey, I want to show you guys what we can do. I go, oh man, this is amazing. Value add to my community. This is amazing. They come in, 400 people go and sign up with them. I still to this day, and in the side chat, you will see somebody from 2.5 years ago go, yeah, Pace, I love you, but I also am not happy that you pushed me over to that company. That you'll see it. Somebody will say something. So I told myself from that point going forward, I wasn't going to promote a company that I have not been associated with. I have not done deals with. I have not vetted. I haven't been friends with for at least multiple months. And so like Steve Harward, I meet Steve Harward in January of 2020. And I told Steve, he's like, dude, your community, everybody talks about your community and like what you're doing as a leader in this, in this industry. Please let me get in front of your people. I'll bring the greatest service to them. I go, nope. You and I need to do business first. You and I need to at least be friends for 6 months. I need to be in your ecosphere. And so same thing with you and I, Zach, like you and I have now been in each other's ecospheres for a good amount of time. I told Cody, I go, bro, let's buy a couple of these deals with Zach. Let's legitimize this relationship. Let's go do some deals. And let's talk about our experience with Zach on YouTube. And let's talk about the experience inside of Sub 2 so people can see exactly what we go through. And, I'm Cody. Let's go get a freaking deal, bro. What are you dragging your feet for?
I just don't even know what the deals are. Zach, you'll have to let us know what the deals are. What would
you got to book a call. Start with RTR.
Yeah. We'll book a call and get on and talk with your team on it.
Can you book a call right now? I want to see. Can he book a call right now on the website?
I'm sure he can.
Let's do it, Cody. Do a screen share. Let's have you book the call. Come on.
All right. 1 sec here.
You got this 1 gigabyte per second internet now, and now you can share a screen, dude. Like your internet can handle this. Okay.
Dude, it might be dangerous. I'm scared to test it.
Oh, here's Jeff. Jeff is one of my students. He's been in the program for over 2 years. When he first came in the mentorship, he was in Papua New Guinea as a missionary, and he would come into my Zooms. And he would be on the other side of the country. It'd be like 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, his time. Okay, cool. So you're on the site.
And shout out to Jeff. I've talked to Jeff many years ago, and that's awesome. You're doing cool things, guy.
Yeah, he's cool. He moved to Arizona, doing deals. Good leader.
I'm gonna take it off just while I type in my phone number, so I don't have people.
Come on, dog. Guys, here's Cody. Guys, pull out your pen and paper. I'm gonna give you Cody's phone number. So this is a good one. Philip Frazier says, so why is he pushing Zach when he hasn't done work with him? LOL. Well, Philip, you saw multiple people in my community have vetted and verified that Zach is the shit. So there's your answer. Okay. And also I've been in Zach's world for a good amount of time. We've met through Bigger Pockets. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Spoke on stage there at the event together. I mean, and Steve, I mean, going back to Steve too, I don't know if it was him or someone else that introduced us. Like when you're out there doing big things and doing things right, and you have communities. And by the way, like go and Google us, just like Google Sub 2. I mean, on just review, that type of thing. Obviously, we want to know that you're part of the Paces community to get access to those type of deals. But I mean, you connect with people that are doing good things, and that's quite on. You know, when people introduce you to other people that are just A players out there, like Steve. I mean, that's how you really build businesses. Would you agree, Pace?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. The stuff it's interesting. Cody and I have had people do bad things to us in business, just like everybody has. But what's interesting about those people is they don't last long. You know, I think the longest I've ever seen these bad actors stick around is like 2 years, and then they just kind of dissipate and they're gone. And so people that have a long track history and everybody has good things to say about them, guys, bad people get weeded out really, really fast. Very, very fast.
Yeah.
Did you book a call, Cody?
I did.
You didn't want to show everybody your phone number?
Yeah, I can share my screen again. I did actually.
Okay, so you got the confirmation. Okay, I want to get one before the end of the year.
Yeah. I mean,
and I'm also curious. Like the Reg CF that we're doing, I'll probably end up converting or upgrading our Reg CF to a Reg A next year, and raising a much larger amount of capital. This might be fun for us to take a portion of that Reg A and deploy into a good amount of turnkey stuff with you, especially if we have. I think we have like $200 million on a waiting list for our fund, which is pretty cool. So we have the ability to go raise a good amount of capital to do good stuff. So I'd love to, do a handful of deals with you before we go raise a bunch of capital. Now there's a lot of people in the side chat, 700 people watching right now. They all find deals, right? A ton of them find land deals and they're like, I don't know what to do with it. Is there a short and sweet buy box that everybody, guys, by the way, I'm telling you to get out your freaking pen and paper, because he's going to tell you his buy box. And if I don't tell you to get your pen and paper out, you're going to say, Pace, can you please repeat the buy box again? Because I wasn't ready for the buy box. Okay. Get your crayons out. Take them from your daughter that's sitting next to you, drawing in her coloring book. Just take her crayons out of her hand and get ready for these notes. Okay. What is a great place for me to be looking for or running into land? What is my minimum size? And what are the things I should kind of like? I know there's some other things, like people should be building a relationship with you long-term, especially with you as a buyer. If you guys started 1,000 doors last year, you're a significant buyer. So people need to build a relationship with you and get more finite information. Totally understand that. But is there surface level? Hey, here's 5 areas. Here's the size of land we want. No flood zone. Nothing next to a Circle K. Is there something that you guys have that is pretty easy to write down with crayons?
So here's the buy box. And I'll say this, that, a good creative way to actually start, like if you actually take over the land, if you have a seller finance land deal, where you actually are on, here's where you can do the creative finance on the build to rent space, working with us specifically. If you find land where you have seller financing on it, the construction lenders that we work with that are leveraging our experience to give you the best terms when you're coming in and partnering with us, you may be zero money into that deal if you can seller finance the land and work with us to build it, and you can still build 6-figure equity positions. So, I mean, that's mixing the strategy right there. And I love that, and using creative financing. But if you want to sell the land to us, or a lot of these building teams, generally speaking, we need an 8,000 square foot minimum lot for single family that moves up to 10,000 for duplex. We do not buy in flood zones. People.
Okay, so that people are writing this down right now. If it's a single family, it has to be 8,000 square feet minimum. Okay. What if somebody sends something to you that's 7,995? Is the answer no?
It potentially. I mean, it's not a hard cutoff, but generally speaking, that is a cutoff. I mean,
okay, cool. So guys, the answer is the 8,000 is a cutoff. Don't be a knucklehead. Look for 8,000 plus. Okay. Then 10,000 is the cutoff for duplexes. 10,000 is for duplexes. Now, Zach, if I'm brand new and I'm listening to this for the first time, should I be making sure I should, let's say that a broker or somebody sends a wholesaler, or I run into land, I'm driving by, it says land available on owner finance. I look up the property. Should I be calling the city, or should I be calling the zoning or permits and planning department and saying, hey, how is this property zoned before I decide to send this over to you?
Please do, because we want residential, right? And we need to see if it's even zoned appropriately. That's a huge thing. We don't want any liens on the property, right? Because that's quite common in a lot of areas, to have a property be lien. Also, check environmental factors. That's another thing. Some areas have that where you can look it up publicly. Sometimes it takes making a phone call to the city. A lot of there's these really cute burrowing owls in Cape Coral that are a total pain in the ass to deal with, and they take a year to get them out of there. So make sure there's no environmental factors.
That's not a joke.
No joke, man. Like I have this one lot I bought that there's like this whole community of like 50, and they just keep coming. They keep moving on, and I'm just going to let it be a habitat for owls. But
Wow.
please look into that.
You should have a turnkey zoo or something.
Yeah, there you go. They'll say you could pet them.
And so what markets? So someone doesn't send you a deal in North Dakota, and you're like, I don't buy land here to build here, or like what markets would you be open to getting deals sent to you in?
The areas that we're building in the Carolinas, actually, no, scratch that. What I would be interested moving into this next year, Houston, Southwest Florida, Ocala, Point Siena, and Panhandle, Pensacola area. Those are the main areas that we're going to be very active building in for this next year. Not really interested in land in other parts. So yeah, please don't send that.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Here's the thing: for all you Californians, I'm going to sound really rude when I say this. Nobody wants to buy in California. Okay. The only people that want to buy in California are people that already live in California. Okay. And you got a job there. You got family there. You guys, nobody wants to buy there. It's not fun. If I'm a developer, I'm developing anywhere but California. Okay. I'm moving to places that are less expensive. The government likes me. They want me to make money. They're not going to tax me and hemorrhage me. They're going to make the permit process a lot easier. I imagine the Florida permitting process is actually somewhat pretty relaxed. Is that correct?
Generally relaxed. There's a lot of building going on, but it's light years different from California. Absolutely.
Right. So there's a little bit of a bottleneck because of obviously so many buildings going on, and that's great. That means that a lot of people want to build there. So guys, California, not a lot of people are trying to buy rentals there. Okay. So if you guys are in California and you're saying, man, this sucks, why isn't Zach buying land in California? Well, guys, you can find land in these areas, these buy boxes, just as easy as you can driving down the road in California and seeing something. Virtually finding these deals is just as easy as doing them in your backyard. So spend the time. Where, like you said, Houston, outlying areas, is there a specific part of town that you really want, like Katy, Texas, or where would you want to be?
You know, one interesting thing that we found is there's a lot of opportunity, what we would consider secondary markets. And these are areas within an hour kind of commute radius to a large metropolitan area. So I would almost look at that as especially in areas that have strong population growth. Some of these cities are expanding quite dramatically. So I kind of use that as a quick math, an hour commute distance. So 50, 60 miles within a, commute to a large metropolitan like Houston. And that's could be a lot of potential there. Love
it. Absolutely love it. There was somebody earlier was like, I can't find money. The other day, I literally asked Rob Ringelhan a question, and Rob, I asked him the question. He goes, I go, Rob, how much money do you have in your bank account just sitting in there savings account? And he tells me, and I'm like, go spend that money right now. Go deploy that money. Go get it working for you. Okay. Same thing with all of you guys. You should not have cash just sitting there rotting in your bank account. Go put it into a cash flowing asset. Team up with each other. Spend time with each other. Rob Ringelhan, you know what Rob's doing? He's actually funding somebody else's deal. Jonathan out of Texas funding his deal. And Rob is getting a 33% cash on cash return by being the lender on that deal and JVing. Guys, this is why we do these things live. So you guys can hang out, be around the sub-2 community. Okay. Myron says, Rob, are you lending? I think he should have a little bit more money left. Okay. So Derek, this is a great one. We've talked about this for 401ks. If you have a self-directed, you guys can go and fund these deals all day long. Okay. You guys can go in and get into these deals all day long. And in fact, I've never had a 401k. I've never had a self-directed or any of that kind of stuff, but I actually am getting a 401k this year just so I can work. Do you know Greg Herline from Horizon Trust? Have you met him?
You introduced me, I think, a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So Greg is, so he owns a company called Horizon Trust. And so they help people that have 401ks and IRAs to get them into a place that they can invest their retirement savings, right? Or their retirement funds. Do you have a lot of people that are buying turnkey rentals through their retirement accounts?
Yeah. And I'm like you, Pace. I don't like the government telling me when and how to use my money. So have not set up a 401k, but for people that have those from their employer or previous employer, Yeah, all the time. You're using a solo 401k, self-directed IRA. Establish it with Horizon first, right? That's the first step. And then there's all sorts of, different options to invest it. Non-recourse lenders available. So a lot of people are doing that, especially as they're looking to diversify their retirement vehicles right now.
Yeah. So Julie Burkhart, she really likes Greg or Horizon Trust because she didn't know this, but she had a previous retirement account that she thought was basically not dead, but she was like, basically, I can't do anything with it. And Horizon Trust was like, no, you can take that and you can self-direct that and you can put it into deals. So Julie is like, she's like, oh my gosh, Horizon Trust got all this money accessible to me so I could actually go make money with them. So same thing, guys. Go. I think Greg, it's fine. Let me find Greg's email so you guys can reach out to him directly he comes into the sub 2 community frequently and talks to the sub 2 community, but let me just make sure that you guys get his information, because there are some of you guys that have IRAs and 401ks and you didn't know that you could go buy turnkey rentals with your stuff, and your real estate can actually grow tax-free as long as you keep that money in your retirement account. It can grow tax-free, which is pretty freaking cool. Okay.
While Pace is pulling that up, how do people send those? I had a couple people that had posted, okay, so I have the criteria. Now, how do I send those to you, Zach? You want to just give them your personal cell and just start getting a bunch of texts? Do you have someone on your team, I'm assuming, you want them to connect with?
Yeah, I want to make sure they get responses. I can't get blown up too much. So the best thing to do, guys, is just email info@renttoretirement.com. We do have an 800 number, 800-311-6781. And Alexis will be answering the phone and responding back to you. And we have a team. We have a land acquisitions team for building. If you want to talk with an investment strategist, we'll put you in touch with them to go through your criteria. If you want to look at inventory, obviously, please mention you're from Pace's community. We have special things going on for you guys. And yeah, we'd love to help you.
I think this was dope. People are really like pumped up about this. This is great. I think Cody's excited about this.
I'm excited about it. Just to, I mean, the thing for me is, if you haven't been able to tell, Zach, I have a little bit different risk tolerance level than like Pace has on deals that we feel comfortable being in versus not being comfortable being in. And so my dilemma has been, I want to have another source of being able to just buy more deals to, obviously get the cash flow and appreciation long term, but the tax benefits, and be able to look at it every quarter and say, okay, what are we on track for the year, and make sure I'm buying enough real estate through the sources that we already buy through, but then being able to kind of supplement on top of that, buying some turnkey deals as well. So we don't have to depend on finding the exactly perfect deals through our own sources as well.
100%. That's what it's all about, is scalability, and having multiple. I think all of us is during our, investing journey. I mean, it's at some point you can't buy enough deals, right? Even if you're really actively out there investing, creative finance deals, finding these off-market deals, like sometimes it's nice just to easily have a source to just buy a standard property, take the accelerated depreciation, especially in a good market. Because often that's really where the value add comes, just being in the right place at the right time, where we see continual rent appreciations and market appreciations. But I mean, our goal is just to help people with whatever their goals are. We have a lot of different asset classes and some of the best markets, and this is an easy way to scale or diversify. And yeah, I think
what I'm excited about is that for the last 2-3 years, I've been telling Cody, hey, come buy property with me all over the country. Right. And Cody has a different risk tolerance than I do. Right. And so what happens is Cody's like, nope, I don't want to own anything outside of the state. So the majority of my Arizona real estate I own with Cody. Right. But none of my outside of Arizona real estate is with Cody, because I'm out buying real estate all over the country. And this gives Cody and I an opportunity to go own real estate together all over the country, because you guys have systems and processes that allow us to get into something that Cody feels comfortable with as the, what's the word I'm looking for? Integrator?
The conservative, I guess.
There you go. So a couple of people ask, Greg Herline at yahoo.com is at Horizon Trust. That's who Julie Burkhart uses. A lot of other people are using Greg Herline at yahoo.com. That's his email address. That sounds funny, but that is his email address. I'm glad it's not AOL though. I'm glad it's at least Yahoo. But Greg Herleen at yahoo.com. Send him an email if you guys have retirement funds that you have not converted to a self-directed. He'll help you out with that. Super easy. This is my final question of the night. This is a good question. Maybe there's one more. Jordan Clark says, hey, Zach, if you're going to buy a deal for me, can I assign it to you, or do I have to double close it for whatever lending situations you have going on?
Assignment's just fine. And guys, I'm happy to pay assignment fees, right? If it all makes sense, if the deal's there, then there's no reason to double close. Assignment's absolutely fine.
Investor friendly turnkey rental guide. This is freaking amazing. I freaking love it. Okay. A lot of valuable information. A lot of people super love this, bro. A lot of people are taking notes. I saw in the side chat, people were like, I'm writing this down. This is amazing. A couple of people joined an hour late, and they said in the first 10 seconds of joining, they were scribbling down notes. So this has been a really good, helpful one. Okay. Now, Besnick, who I really like Besnick, but always with these funny questions. Besnick. Zach, what about Massachusetts?
Doesn't work for us. Landlord, legislation, taxes, price points, cash flow. It just not a market for us.
Jabs Carter, here's a good one. Should we continue to use Airbnb as an exit since they're cracking down on Airbnbs in Dallas, Texas? So Jabs, I'm going to tell you, we are going to be doing a lot more midterm rental training inside of Sub 2. So I look forward to helping bring more value to you on the midterm rental stuff. Tanisha, all of our, the heart of Sub 2, I call her. Tanisha will be coming in and bringing in some midterm rental training. I currently am setting up a midterm rental in Texas City, Texas, and we'll walk you guys through the process of that and what the numbers look like. I am converting a handful of my Airbnbs in Atlanta and in Dallas into midterm rentals. In fact, Jobs, I think you have done a meetup at one of my seller finance deals in Rowlett, Texas. That property in Rowlett, that neighborhood hates me so bad. They've sent me like 15 different letters over 3 years. And I finally am like, okay, I'll relent and I'll go midterm. So I'm going midterm on that and a handful of other properties in other areas that are getting cracked down on. So Airbnbs are not going away. They have definitely felt a hit. People that say otherwise are not telling you the truth. They have definitely felt a hit, just like a lot of other things. But midterm rental doesn't go away, right? Or here's another one that doesn't go away. A lot of people that we're going to be bringing in a ton of value for this. I have been putting in the last 6 months, I put 12 properties in my portfolio that I am leasing to a sober living facility. They don't own the property. I'm leasing it to them. The rent rate is doubled and I have no responsibility for repairs, which is a great thing. Now, it doesn't mean it doesn't come with a lot of risk, but it does tell you that I'm bringing in a lot more cash flow, and I will be bringing a lot more sober living education to the mentorship Jabs as we do more and more and more of it. So I would look at sober living. I would network with sober living people. People Google it, literally Jabs tonight on your iPhone. Go on there and go DFW or Dallas sober living facilities. And tomorrow call 5 of them and say, hey, I want to network with you guys. I want to bring you houses to you guys. And that is your tenant for those types of properties. Cody, do you have anything else for Zach? Because you know me, I could go all night long.
No, I don't think so right now. I mean, I'm obviously going to get on the call with you, but I think we're going to be ready to rock and get some properties going here. One of my things, but this could be. I think we should just make some YouTube videos during the process pace on like as we go through the process on buying turnkey. I think that would be fun just for a follow up for the community as well. So I don't have any questions right now.
Yeah, I think we do a whole follow up. I think Cody, if possible. I don't think you should record the whole, document the whole thing, but I think it would be smart for you to do a recording of the call that you have with them. Take a little bit of it for a future video to go, hey, this is how long my call was. This is what the inventory was. This is why I chose this property. Pace and I deployed this much money. Here's what our interest rate was. And we're going to continue to do more and more and more of these over time and show people that this is actually, for a lot of people that are the weekend investors or people that are like, I bought 4 sub twos this year and 2 seller finance, but my goal was to buy 14 properties. Like we have a student that their goal in 2023 is to buy 20 rentals. Okay, well, what happens if they only buy 15 sub 2 and seller finance deals, right? They might want to supplement and diversify into 5 turnkeys, right? Where they don't have to worry about them. They're already managed professionally and up and going, which is pretty freaking cool. Zach, you're dope, dude. Thank you.
Guys, thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to walk through that with you. I think that would be huge to do just case studies. I love going through that stuff. And again, I can't say this enough. I've spoken to hundreds of people, thousands of people in different groups. No one's out there doing stuff like you guys, and your community's engaged and they take action. I love it. Thank you guys so much.
Really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. Tomorrow for Wholesale Hotline live, 5 p.m. We have Cody Sanchez coming into Wholesale Hotline tomorrow, 5 p.m. Arizona time, same YouTube channel. So all 700 of you guys should make sure you guys are there tomorrow. Cody Sanchez is probably going to try and fight with me lovingly. She's going to fight with me and say that buying a business is better than buying a property, because she doesn't understand that with sub 2 and seller finance, we actually get a lot of 0 down deals. She thinks that she can outpace me in creative finance real estate versus creative finance business opportunities and acquiring people's businesses. So we're going to go head to head tomorrow on Wholesale Hotline. It should be a lot of fun, and look forward to seeing you guys all there. Cody, I love that your internet works. You're the best. Later, Zach.